Welcome. Today's webinar is on adaptable learning with Moodle, and I think this is a really important topic. My name is Dr. Tammy Frame. I'm the Chief Education Officer at eClass for Learning. This has my contact information. The webinar today is being recorded, so if you couldn't join us live, you will receive a link to the recording. Also, feel free to send questions if you weren't able to join us live today. eClass for Learning is a full e-learning provider. So we provide open source LMS solutions, course development services, onboarding and support is one of our fortes, advanced reporting and analytics, e-commerce solutions, hosting, systems integration, and customizations to the platforms we support. So if you have any interest in any of those services, please feel free to contact us and we would be happy to talk with you about how we can help you. Today we're using Zoom as our webinar platform. If you want to add questions to the Q&A section, please do. I really encourage that. I think it makes the webinar a lot more lively. If you weren't able to join us in person and you want to email questions, we'd be happy to answer those as well. Okay, with that, I'm going to get out of my PowerPoint and I'm going to go into Moodle. So in Moodle, there's several things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how we can make Moodle adaptable and what needs to be set up at the site admin parts, what has to be set up at the course level. I'm going to show you how to create an adaptable lesson and how we can track completion, course completion, okay, and make learning paths and so on. So the first thing that you need to check is, or your site administrator needs to check, is that the site admin under advanced features, and I believe it's down quite a bit. We want to do enable completion tracking. So you want to have that checked yes. You also can decide, I have that the default will be that activities will be tracked. And we can always turn some activities off if we don't want them tracked, but the default is that they're going to be tracked. Okay. Once you do that, you can save changes. So that has to be enabled first for any of this to work. Then let's create a course. So we'll go to my site home. Okay. So if I go into my course and expand all, you'll want to make sure that completion tracking is set up. And so this is set to yes, which is correct. Okay, save and display. Okay, so one of the things that I want to show is going to be how to add a lesson. Okay, so we're going to turn on editing. And we're going to go to add an activity. And from this one, we're going to go to a lesson. And I'm going to call this my adaptable lesson. Okay, so when there are some really nice features inside of the lesson, we can have a progress bar. We can display the menu. If you're going to have a time limit or available from or when they have to finish it. Are you going to allow students to review? If you're going to provide an option to try questions again. How many attempts? I just had a discussion about this the other day. If you make a high number, that can add to the frustration of the learners. And so you might want to keep that as a low number too, if they can't get it. So I'm going to keep this at point. I'm going to have it as 100 points. The grade to pass, I'm going to set at 80. I could set this as a practice lesson, and whether or not I'm allowed to do retakes. If I do retakes, am I going to use the mean or the maximum? And let's see, anything else that I want to do? Okay, so let's talk about activity completion. And by the way, everything in Moodle will have this option once this is set up at the site and course level. So my options are students can manually mark the activity as completed and show activity as complete when conditions are met is the one that I usually like. So that means that Moodle's going to track it for me. And then student must view this activity to complete it. Yep, I want that. They must receive a grade for this activity. They must reach the end of the lesson to complete this activity. I could even put for how many minutes at least they need to be in it to finish the activity. If I wanted to, I could also set up competencies and have those tracked as part of my lesson as well. Okay, so now we're going to go to save and return to the course. There's my adaptable lesson. And the first thing it wants to know is, do I want to add a content page or a question page? So I'm going to have a content page. And notice you get the what you see, what you get bar. And you can add images, pictures, etc. So we'll put welcome to the course. And then here is where the buttons at the bottom. So I'm going to have buttons horizontally. So I have next, and then that'll go to the next page, and I'll save the page. Okay, so now if I want to add a new page, add a content page, let's say this one is content 1. Okay. And then next. And previous. Save page. And let's do one more content page. Notice that I can move these up and down. I can duplicate them. I can delete them. And so next I will do another content page. Okay. Next. Great. Great. Now let's try adding a question page. So add a new page, add a question page. I'll do multiple choice. So I'll put the correct answer here. It will randomize these, by the way, which is nice if people are using it as a study guide, which is how I kind of, an interactive study guide. It's often how I do it. We'll give that a score of 1. And then this is going to go to the next page if they got it correct. Maybe I'll put actually to the end of the lesson. Here I will put, I'm going to have them go back to content 1 and review that some more. We'll do one more, same thing, Indiana, and we'll go back to content 1. So see how you're able to branch based on what the learner does, and sort of a choose your own adventure kind of thing where you're creating learning paths based on what they know. And so I love that part of the lesson. So if we want to preview it, we can preview it quick. Welcome to the course. There'd be a progress bar at the bottom if we were a real student in the course. That's what this is saying. So this is our content. And then if we get this, we would be sent to the, and it's telling us our feedback, continue. Congratulations, you've reached the end of the lesson. And then I can return to the course if I want to, okay? Had I not gotten it correct, it would have taken me back through the slides to review. So that's a great tool. Let's try adding another activity. So lesson is really great. And again, I went to add an activity. I went to lesson. Another good one is the quiz. Let's say after we've had the interactive study guide, we decide to create a quiz. All right, and let's just look at some of our options here. Highest grade. I'm going to give 1 attempt. Okay, so this is going to be more summative. And here I am going to restrict the access to the quiz, which is another thing that we can do with any activity or resource in Moodle. Love these tools. And we can restrict on whether or not they can take the quiz based on different rules. So we could do it on activity completion, a date, a grade, a group that they're part of. A grouping is a set of groups, something in their profile, or some kind of logic that restricts it. I'm going to do activity completion, and I'm going to say that the student must complete and it automatically picks up everything in the course, and I want that adaptable lesson completed. Must be marked complete. Must be complete with a pass grade. Remember, we set 80% or better as that pass grade. So we'll add that restriction. We could have more if we wanted. And then we will save and return to the course. Okay, so is there anything else that I need here? Oh, okay. Doesn't like my name. Let's try that. Oh, I see. Instead of a quiz, I did score and package, which we could have restricted its access to. Let's try that again. I really wanted the quiz. Here I've got an user tour, so I'm going to end my tour. And I have lots of options for quizzes that can help really help me. Again, I could have when it's open, when it closes, a time limit. Maybe I will give a time limit on this one. I'm going to make it more summative. Okay. Grade to pass. I'm going to put 80%. I'm just going to give one attempt. And we can shuffle within the questions. This is about when they're going to get feedback. So notice that these are grayed out. That's because deferred feedback is set. So I kind of like this, that after the attempt is when they're going to find out if their answers are correct or not. I could have a password that they need. I could have an enforced delay between attempts. So there's so many things that you can do. I'm going to say that if they got between 80 and 100, I'm going to say great job. If it's between 0 and 80, please review. Okay. Now, let's add our restriction. These are all the things that you could restrict by. I'm going to do it by activity completion, and that they must finish this adaptable lesson, but I'm also going to say that they have to get a passing grade. So in order for them to be able to take the test, this is saying this has to be marked complete. And then instead of students manually completing it, I'm going to say that they have to require a passing grade to get this marked complete. Okay, so let's make this 8, saying out of 10. Okay. And then this has to be an 8. Okay. So now you'll notice that these have check marks. This means that Moodle marks this item complete according to the conditions set for adaptable lesson. The system also does that for adaptable quiz. And notice that this one is grayed out. It says restricted, not available unless the activity adaptable lesson is complete and passed. And when that happens, this will be checked off, and then this will become a live link and they'll be able to do that. So that is how you can use the built-in Moodle tools to create these paths. The other thing that I really wanted to point out is oftentimes people forget a final step that's important. And under course management, the course really isn't complete until you set up your course completion settings, okay? So if I go to course admin and course completion, here has all the activities, and I can say, for example, in order for this course to be complete, I'll have to unlock it. The user has to do the adaptable lesson, and that was a lesson, right? Here it is. And they have to do the adaptable quiz. Those two things have to be marked complete. You could have a condition of completion of other courses by date, by how long they've been enrolled, the course grade, manual self-completion, or somebody else completing it by looking at that as well. So those are some of your options. And now, if those two conditions that we set up, these two are checked off, they would show up in reports as completing this course. So a useful report that's built into Moodle, we go to course management and we go to course administration, reports, and we go to course completion. Now we see a very useful report that shows the adaptable lesson, the adaptable quiz, those both, their status, if those are marked off. If they are, then they would also get course completion. You can also download this report in Excel or as a CSV. So those are some useful tools for creating learning paths based on the learner's knowledge. If you have questions, I would welcome those and look forward to dialoguing further about the types of things that you're trying to do in your Moodle instance. So thanks so much for joining us today.